But one rare version of it has shocked collectors with a value rumored to reach as high as $1.5 million. Imagine that. A coin you barely notice while buying a cup of coffee could be one discovery away from transforming your life forever. It's the 2013 D Mint Mark Great Basin Quarter, and its story is unlike anything you've ever heard. Picture this. A man in Nevada grabs a handful of coins from a gas station counter. Nothing special, just spare change. He tosses them into his pocket, annoyed the way we all get when we're weighed down by metal. But later that night, while emptying his pockets, he sees something. A strange mark. A tiny flaw. A detail so easy to miss, but one that turned out to be the biggest financial shock of his life. Because that tiny detail made his ordinary quarter one of the rarest and most coveted coins in America. Collectors were stunned. Dealers rushed to get their hands on one. And suddenly, the Great Basin Quarter became the center of whispers, rumors, and breathless excitement in the coin world. Because this coin carries a secret. A mistake hidden right on its face. A minting error that most people would never even think to notice. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses began spreading word behind the scenes. A few verified examples of this ultra-rare error began surfacing. And each time one was authenticated, collectors stepped closer and closer to a bidding war of pure adrenaline. Some insiders claim private buyers have already paid more than $1 million for the right coin. That's $1 million for a quarter made in 2013. This kind of miracle has happened again and again throughout history. Pocket change becoming a treasure that changes a person's fate forever. And right now, the Great Basin Quarter might just be the next miracle hiding in plain sight. Let me take you there. The year is 2013. The United States Mint releases a new design honoring Great Basin National Park in Nevada. Front side, George Washington. Back side, a single resilient bristlecone pine clinging to life in harsh stone. Strong, weathered, a symbol of survival. But nobody knew that at the Denver Mint, something unexpected happened. Die alignment issues, striking pressure problems, and in a few rare cases, the cladding, the nickel outer layer, failed to bond correctly. Those flawed coins slipped through quality control and entered circulation. Most people spent them instantly. Grocery store cash registers, toll booths, buying candy. And that's how history can vanish before anyone notices. But not this time. One collector spotted something odd on his Great Basin Quarter. The edges looked reddish, copper peeking through like a hidden layer of treasure. Missing clad, a major mint error, extremely rare, the kind of thing advanced collectors dream about. And that was just the beginning. Others began finding coins with doubling on the pine tree branches. A double die error, a tiny shift in the engraving, creating ghost-like details that only a trained eye can detect. The most valuable double dies in history? They sell for fortunes. Then came rumors of a coin struck off-center, the design tilting and leaving a blank crescent moon along the rim. Another error that can turn loose change into life-changing money. Collectors were shocked. They had completely missed these coins for years. Dealers began calling their contacts, searching rolls, buying bulk lots from banks like treasure hunters on a deadline. Because here's the truth. The longer you wait, the fewer of these rare coins remain. Once they're damaged or melted, they are gone forever. It could be sitting in your pocket right now. But what happened next made everything even more unbelievable. A quiet bidding war erupted behind closed doors. Wealthy private collectors pushing each other higher and higher because they understood the importance of this discovery. And just like that, the 2013 Great Basin Quarter became a legend. One of the rare error examples sold for a staggering price. Enough to pay off a home, retire early, and never worry about money again. It was the kind of sale that turns a hobby into a miracle. Dealers are now scrambling. Collectors are tearing open bankrolls every night. Everyone is searching for the next lucky coin to surface. Because somewhere out there, maybe in a couch cushion, maybe in a forgotten jar of quarters, maybe in your hands right now, is a coin worth a life-changing fortune. And if you think this is where the story ends, you'll want to sit down for this part. There is one variety that is considered the Holy Grail. A coin with multiple mistakes layered together. A missing clad layer combined with a doubled die. A coin that screams rarity before you even hold it to the light. Some experts believe only a few of these masterpieces exist. Just a handful. The kind of rarity that makes collectors' hearts race. The kind of coin auctions build special lighting and music to unveil, not in rumor, not in guesses. Real buyers, real money, real life-changing power. Here is the secret. Look closely at your 2013 quarters. Only the ones with a D mint mark, that tiny D on the obverse, qualifies. Then inspect the edge. If you see copper showing through, if the outer layer looks thin, peeling, or wrong, your coin might have a missing clad error. Next, tilt the coin under light and examine the bristlecone pine. If the branches appear doubled, if the details seem like they have a shadow, that could be a doubled die. Check for anything strange about the rim. Is it off-center? Uneven? Letters missing? All signs of a mint error that increases value beyond belief. And condition matters. A coin sharp and clean, barely touched since leaving the mint. That's where the biggest money lies. Imagine finding that miracle. One moment you're holding 25 cents. The next, you're holding a future filled with everything you've ever dreamed of. Collectors around the country are already searching. Don't be the one who hears about someone else's discovery and realizes you had the same coin and spin it without noticing, because the next person to uncover $1 million Great Basin quarter could be you. Search your coins. Check every detail. Trust your eyes. And remember, but a sharp-eyed collector spotted a secret that dealers desperately hoped no one else would ever notice. Days later, that ordinary-looking 1989 Washington quarter sold for a life-changing fortune, up to $1.6 million. And the real shock? Millions of these quarters were minted. You could already be holding one without even realizing it. People think modern coins can't be worth real money. But this one coin shattered that belief. It slipped quietly into circulation over 3 decades ago, carrying a flaw so rare, so unbelievably valuable, that once discovered, it shook the entire coin-collecting world. And most collectors never saw it coming. But what happened next stunned everyone. It all begins in Philadelphia. The 1980s were a chaotic time for the U.S. Mint. Machines were wearing down. Dies were pushed beyond their limits. Quality control slipped. And somewhere during that rush, something went terribly wrong. A single minting mistake created a tiny detail on the 1989 quarter that would rewrite the destiny of anyone lucky enough to find it. Worth more than a house. Worth $1 million? It sounded impossible. But then the first private sale leaked to the public, and disbelief turned into panic. Dealers scrambled to check their storerooms. Coin hunters tore through old piggy banks and drawers, hoping to uncover one of the rarest mint errors in American history. But the story gets even stranger. One ordinary afternoon, a man in Florida was cleaning out his junk drawer. Loose change everywhere. Nickels, pennies, a couple rusty paper clips. And then he saw it. A quarter that looked off. Something about the edge. Something about Washington's profile. He almost spent it. He almost didn't look twice. But curiosity saved him. That same coin sold for hundreds of thousands. And experts believe that the few surviving masterpieces from that same error could easily climb to $1.6 million at auction. Here's the secret most people miss. Some 1989 quarters contain freak mint errors. Strikes that don't line up correctly. Missing details. Doubled designs that appear where they should never be. These were never meant to escape the mint. But fate, chaos, and a little bit of luck made sure a handful slipped into the pockets of ordinary Americans. Collectors call them the phantom treasures. Dealers whisper about them. And serious investors will pay anything to have one. But that's still not the whole story. There were rumors of a second error variety. Even rarer. A version struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a quarter minted accidentally on a coin blank intended for something else entirely. Wrong metal. Wrong weight. A minting accident so bizarre that it shouldn't exist. But it does. And the moment a collector confirmed the first one, everything changed. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Every few years, a new example surfaces. A convenience store. A car wash. A yard sale. Someone spots the impossible, and wealth follows instantly. Dealers were shocked. Some tried to deny the value. Others raced to buy them before the public learned what to look for. Because here's the truth they didn't want people to know. These valuable coins don't look rare at first glance. They hide in plain sight. Your pocket, your glove box, a handful of coins sitting beside the washing machine. But here's the part that will keep you checking every quarter you touch for the rest of your life. There are still more out there. And they are worth up to $1.6 million. Imagine the story. You go to buy a cup of coffee. You hand over a coin. The cashier doesn't even look at it. They toss it into a till full of wealth they'll never know. But what if you had noticed first? What if you had caught the missing detail the world forgot? But before you go hunting, you must know this. Most people miss the key markers. They overlook the very feature that makes these coins so valuable. They think every worn quarter might be special. But only a few have the true million-dollar mistakes. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Here's what you absolutely must check. Look closely at Washington's profile. On some of the most valuable 1989 P errors, part of his face or hair appears doubled. Not a blurry circulation rub. Sharp, doubled metal. A ghost-like second image right where no second image should be. Flip the coin. Check the eagle on the reverse. Look for doubling in the wings, the arrows, or the lettering. Any crisp doubling could be the jackpot. Check the metal itself. If the coin feels lighter or slightly different in color, you might be holding one minted on the wrong planchet. That is the holy grail variety. That is the one that can unlock the highest value of all. But what happened next will give you chills. Some collectors have found these coins and never realized what they had. They spent them, gave them away. They vanished again into circulation like ghosts. Right now, someone might be holding $1 million fortune in their wallet with absolutely no idea what they're about to lose. You do not want to be that person. That is why this moment matters. You are now one of the few people who knows the truth. You know the clues. You know what others ignore. The next discovery could be yours. One more wrong planchet strike. One more double die masterpiece. One more life changed forever. Collectors have waited decades for the next big find. And every day, someone somewhere spends a quarter that could rewrite history. The next time you hear that familiar jingle of change dropping into your hand, pause. Look, inspect every detail. Because this could be the very coin that changes everything for you. But instead, it became $1 million legend. Imagine a coin so rare, so misunderstood, that not even the most experienced collector suspected what it could become. A simple 1995 P Washington quarter dollar minted in Philadelphia. Something we've all seen thousands of times. Something we've all spent without a second thought. Yet one of these pieces of pocket change shocked the entire hobby, selling for up to $1.7 million. Because hidden inside this unassuming quarter is a mystery. A minting error no one expected. A detail so tiny, most people never even notice it. And collectors everywhere are terrified they might have already spent one. Let's go back to the beginning. The year is 1995. The United States Mint strikes hundreds of millions of quarters. Just another year. Just another wave of coins ready for vending machines, convenience stores, and dusty old coin jars in garages. But buried inside that massive production, something different slipped through. One man found his while searching through a jar of loose change. At first, he thought nothing of it. Just a slightly shiny 1995 quarter. But the more he looked, the more his heart began to race. Something was off. Something he couldn't quite explain. A feeling that this ordinary coin wasn't ordinary at all. That he sent it for authentication. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Grading experts examined the quarter under magnification. They realized the coin wasn't just well preserved. It wasn't just rare condition. There was a deeper flaw, a die problem, a minting mistake that accidentally created a once-in-a-generation treasure. Collectors were shocked. Dealers immediately began searching their inventories. Auctions started buzzing. Rumors spread like wildfire. But here's the part that truly shook everyone. That same kind of coin might still be out there, waiting to be discovered, waiting for someone like you. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But the story was far from over. As the news grew, other collectors stepped forward. They too had odd 1995 quarters tucked away. Strange doubling, mysterious thickness variations, minting abnormalities nobody had paid attention to. And each new discovery sent the value climbing higher and higher, until the number became too big to believe. $1.7 million. It didn't feel real. How could something you could find in a laundromat coin slot be worth more than a luxury home? How could something so common become a once-in-a-lifetime treasure? Because the most valuable coins are always hiding in plain sight. Think about it. How many times have you paid for a coffee with a 1995 quarter? How many times have you ignored the date while tossing change in a tray or drawer? This story proves it only takes one mistake. One tiny mishap inside the Philadelphia Mint. One flawed die striking just a handful of coins before anyone noticed. That flaw is now priceless. Collectors are rushing to get their hands on this coin. A rare combination of high-grade preservation and unexpected doubling of design details created the perfect storm. The quarter appears almost bold in its lettering. Washington's profile sharpens with a ghost-like reflection of itself. Some show raised metal in places that should be flat. Some show details so crisp they almost look engraved. Every new example discovered sends shockwaves through the hobby, because every new example means there are probably more still hidden. And this is where things take an emotional turn. So many people spent these coins before the world understood them. They were dropped under couch cushions, lost in taxis, buried in dirt alongside forgotten dreams. The biggest fear among collectors today isn't missing out. It's that they already held a fortune once and let it slip away. Because this coin isn't rare by date alone. It's rare by survival. Time has destroyed thousands. Circulation has erased details that once made them valuable. Only a few remain in condition strong enough to demand six figures, or even more. But here's the twist. Some are still flawless. Some are still perfect. Some are still waiting. Look at the way the light falls over George Washington's cheek. Look how the word liberty pops off the metal. If the surfaces shine with brilliance, if the fields appear mirror-like, if the devices look bold and doubled, you could be holding one of the most sought-after quarters in recent memory. Dealers aren't just interested in this coin, that they're obsessed with it, because owning one means being part of a story bigger than collecting. It means being the person who found the next million-dollar treasure. It means overnight transformation, wealth, a future changed forever by something you once ignored. Imagine the moment you realize a coin from your pocket is suddenly worth more than your car, your job's yearly salary, maybe your entire house. Imagine the adrenaline, the disbelief, the urge to call everyone you know just to prove it's real. That is the dream driving collectors across America. And that dream is alive because of the 1995 Washington quarter dollar. Every line on this coin tells a secret. The eagle on the reverse sometimes reveals tiny abnormal details around the feathers. The obverse can show doubling on the motto. And the edge can reveal striking pressure issues that make it thicker than usual. Each sign brings hope. Each detail could mean the difference between 25 cents and $1.7 million. That moment would feel electric. A heart-stopping thrill. Suddenly you're no longer just someone with spare change. You are the discoverer of a buried treasure the world almost forgot. Collectors are searching 1995 mint mark quarters like never before. Coin rolls are selling out. Pawn shops are being hit by determined treasure hunters. Everyone wants the moment that changes their life. Most of the public still has no idea that they're spending these coins right now. They're feeding them to arcade machines. They're tossing them into tip jars. They're giving away small fortunes without a clue. But now you know the truth, that you've heard the whispers. You know the signs. You know exactly what to look for. Check those 1995 quarters closely. Inspect Washington's profile for doubling. Focus on the word liberty. Look for sharp, flawless surfaces and unexpected raised metal that doesn't belong. Search through any untouched coin rolls you can find. Do not ignore a single detail, because this is not just a coin. It is a life-changing opportunity. Collectors spend their whole lives hoping for a story like this. A moment when the world stops, and everything they thought they knew shifts into something greater, something richer, something unimaginable. The 1995 Washington quarter holds that power. It came from an ordinary year. It slipped silently into circulation. It passed through millions of hands. And still, a handful survived the chaos of commerce to become legends. Think of the person who found the first one. They almost spent it. They almost missed the miracle. But destiny intervened. They looked twice. They trusted their curiosity. That curiosity is worth more than $1 million. It's your turn. Go to your drawer, your glove box, your coin jar. Look at the dates you've ignored for years. Touch the dream that everyone else keeps throwing away. This exact quarter could be sitting in your pocket right now. It could be the one thing standing between you and a life-changing discovery. Don't wait. Don't assume. Don't let fortune slip away like so many others did. But when the truth came out, collectors were stunned to discover it was worth over $1 million. And here's the wild part. You might already own one without realizing it. The 1967 Washington quarter looks ordinary. It sounds ordinary. It feels like just another coin that slips through our hands every single day. But beneath that familiar silver appearance lies one of the most mysterious and valuable minting stories in U.S. coin history. A story that nearly vanished from the records. A story the mint never expected collectors to uncover. Because in 1967, something strange happened in America's coin supply. And the rare quarters born from that moment are now making headlines with prices soaring up to $1.8 million. One man found his in an old coffee can full of pocket change. He almost used it to pay for gas. Instead, he walked away with more money than most people earn in their entire lifetime. But that was only the beginning. During the mid-1960s, the U.S. Mint was under pressure. Coin shortages were spreading across the country. People were hoarding silver coins. Panic was rising. And in a desperate rush to fill cash registers again, the Mint made decisions that changed the future of American coinage forever. 1967 quarters were struck without a mint mark. To the naked eye, this made them blend in with every other coin. There was no easy way to tell where they came from, no clue revealing their origin. And the Mint hoped this chaos would go unnoticed. But what they didn't expect were mistakes. Deep, valuable, life-changing mistakes. Collectors now know that some 1967 quarters were struck on leftover silver planchets from earlier years. These silver-based coins should not exist. Yet a handful escaped into circulation. Hidden, forgotten, waiting. And when one of those silver 1967 quarters resurfaced at an auction, its unexpected rarity ignited a bidding war that shook the numismatic world. Millionaire collectors couldn't back down. Newspapers couldn't believe it. A simple quarter selling for a price usually reserved for fine art. By the time the hammer dropped, that coin was valued in the realm of million-dollar fortunes. But silver wasn't the only error haunting the 1967 production lines. There were double strikes where the profile of George Washington appears to vibrate like a ghost. There were off-center coins where the design literally slips off the surface, creating eerie blank space that looks like a printing glitch in reality itself. And more shockingly, a tiny number of experimental coins struck using proof dies, meant for collectors only, but accidentally pushed into everyday circulation. Collectors were speechless. This wasn't just a coin. It was a secret, one that for decades, nobody realized existed. But what happened next stunned everyone. As these coins began to be discovered, their values exploded. People started searching old change jars and dusty containers in garages. Some even dug through laundromat coin trays. Because a once ordinary quarter from 1967 suddenly had the power to rewrite someone's financial future overnight. Imagine the moment. You dump a handful of change out of your pocket. You're not even looking for treasure. Just noise. Just metal. And then, that familiar eagle reverse stares back. But something looks just a little different. A subtle shine. A crisper edge. A weight that feels slightly heavier than the others. A clue that fortune is hiding in your hand. This is why coin dealers are quietly scrambling to track them down before the public truly understands their value. They know that the best finds are still out there. They know most people have no idea what these errors look like. They know that with just one of these quarters, someone could become the next unbelievable news headline. There could be hundreds more out there, waiting in small towns, in old wallets, in dusty boxes passed down for generations, even in pocket change that gets dropped on the floor and ignored. And every time someone finally recognizes what they're holding, the coin world goes silent. Hearts race. Lives change. Because this isn't just metal, it's history, it's luck, that it's a once-in-a-lifetime miracle. Collectors are still uncovering new varieties of the 1967 quarter. Some showing subtle doubling in Washington's profile. Others holding die-polished lines like tiny hidden signatures. Every new discovery drives curiosity higher, and so does the price. But here's the attention reset you need to hear right now. Pay close attention. There is one unmistakable detail that separates the million-dollar versions from everything else. Composition. Most 1967 quarters are copper-nickel clad, just like today. But the life-changing rarities were mistakenly struck on 90% silver planchets. That means they have the distinct ring of silver when tapped. That means they weigh slightly more. That means they never should have been released. And that forbidden existence is where the money lives. One collector described the moment they realized what they had found. Their hands shook so violently they nearly dropped the coin on the kitchen floor. They checked the weight again and again. They couldn't believe what the scale said. The coin that should be nothing was everything. But wait, there's one more shocking twist. Some 1967 silver quarters appear with proof-like surfaces. A mirror reflection so crisp you can see yourself staring back at the symbol of your newfound fortune. These are the highest prized of them all. When one of these appears at auction, the phones light up. The bidding skyrockets, and collectors fight to the bitter end. Beyond comprehension, beyond ordinary life, beyond anything you ever thought a pocket change coin could be worth. We're talking up to $1.8 million trading hands for a single quarter that once bought gum or fed a parking meter. But this tiny detail is why most people miss it. There is no mint mark. There is no obvious sign that screams rarity. You must check carefully. You must take the time to look. Because your luck depends on it, collectors recommend using a scale. A normal 1967 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. A silver error will weigh closer to 6.25 grams. If your coin feels heavier, if something about it just seems different, you might be holding a miracle. Tilt it under the light. Examine the edges. Silver coins present a uniform shine. Copper-nickel coins reveal a sandwich of different metals. Listen for the sound. Silver rings with a higher pitch, like crystal. When you hear that sound, you'll never forget it. Some people spend their whole lives searching for wealth, working, saving, hoping. But sometimes fortune hides itself in the most familiar places. In a coin you've seen 1,000 times. In something so ordinary, it becomes extraordinary. The mint tried to erase the mistakes of 1967. They tried to keep things quiet, but the truth found a way out. And now anyone with the courage to look closely might uncover riches beyond imagination. This isn't a fantasy. It's real, and it happens more often than you think. Right now, in homes across America, people are discovering that they've been carrying history. A small piece of metal that whispers a message. Don't ignore me, don't underestimate me, don't assume I'm ordinary. Because the most valuable discoveries in life don't always look valuable at first at SO tonight. When you empty your pockets, look closer. When you count your change, pay attention. When you find a 1967 quarter, check the weight. Check the shine. Check the feeling in your gut that tells you something incredible is about to happen. Collectors were shocked. Dealers are rushing. And someone out there is about to go from change to millionaire in a single breathtaking moment. But collectors are living this nightmare-turned-fantasy right now. The 2003 P Mint Mark Missouri quarter dollar. A coin millions of Americans touched, spent, dropped into vending machines, and lost between couch cushions. A coin so ordinary, until one tiny, shocking detail changes everything. A hidden minting mistake only the sharpest eyes notice. A detail capable of turning pocket change into $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The story begins in 2003, inside the vibrating machinery of the Philadelphia Mint. Hundreds of millions of Missouri quarters were flying through the presses, each one celebrating the gateway arch and the core of discovery. Most were perfect. Most entered circulation without a second thought. But a very rare few, were minting accidents that slipped past inspectors. These flawed quarters weren't just mistakes. They were gold mines disguised as everyday metal. Collectors didn't know they existed. Dealers overlooked them. They were ghosts in the system, hiding in plain sight. And for years, nobody believed a Missouri state quarter could ever be worth more than 25 cents. Then one man made a discovery that changed everything. He had no idea what he was holding. Just a random 2003 Missouri quarter he'd gotten as change at a gas station. He almost gave it to his kid to use on an arcade machine. But something caught his eye. Something strange. The details looked bolder, thicker, almost filled in. He searched online. He posted pictures. Silence. Until one expert commented 3 words that sent chills down his spine. You have it. A rare double die strike. A minting error so dramatic, yet so subtle that only a trained collector would notice the doubling along the lettering and the arch. The kind of doubling that shouldn't exist, but somehow did. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were stunned. News spread like wildfire. Suddenly, the Missouri State Quarter wasn't just another coin series. It became a target. Treasure hunters everywhere dug through jars, glove boxes, and sock drawers. Shops were overrun by people carrying Ziploc bags full of quarters, praying that lightning would strike them too. But this was just the beginning. because what experts uncovered next raised the stakes to a level nobody saw coming. There wasn't just one type of rare Missouri error coin. There were multiple. Striking mistakes, off-center strikes, filled dies, even coins where the edge reading was incomplete, each one more valuable than the last. Those flawless uncirculated double dies, the ones still holding their original mint shine, the ones that collectors would fight over at auction. One of those coins appeared under the bright lights of an elite private sale. Bidding started in the thousands, but the price climbed faster than anyone expected. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. People in the room were gasping, phones ringing, bidders sweating. When the hammer finally dropped, the winning offer left dealers trembling. Over $1.9 million for a single Missouri quarter. But what happened next shocked even the auction house. Rumors began spreading about more varieties still out there. Coins tucked away in piggy banks. Coins sitting in dresser drawers next to old receipts. Coins nobody would even glance at unless they knew the secret. Collectors rushed into action. They ransacked rolls straight from the bank. They hunted down forgotten change from the year 2003. Every new discovery added fuel to the fire. But most people still miss the tiny detail that makes this coin a millionaire maker. It's all about the doubling. Look closely at the text United States of America. Focus on gateway arch and core of discovery. On the rarest versions, those lines are duplicated, ghost-like, slightly offset. It's not damage. It's not wear. It's a minting miracle formed in an instant when the die struck incorrectly. That duplication is what transformed a common quarter into $1 million. But that's not the only clue you should be searching for. Collectors discovered that some rare Missouri quarters show a dramatic weakness in the design. Certain letters appear thicker, almost swollen, because a filled die caused metal to flow differently during the press strike. Experts say this flaw creates a special visual fingerprint, and it's worth more than you can imagine. But what happened next sent chills down the spine of every coin dealer in America. Another hidden error surfaced. This time, the strike didn't land dead center. The quarter design tilted sharply, leaving parts missing and blank space exposed. Coins like this shouldn't exist in circulation. And yet someone found one. Just sitting in a bankroll, collectors were speechless. The Missouri quarter wasn't just valuable. It was unpredictable, mysterious, and full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. People who had never studied a coin in their life suddenly became obsessed. Stories flooded in. A retired truck driver who found one in a toll booth return slot. A single mother who picked one off the floor of a laundromat. A young collector who didn't realize what he owned until a dealer nearly fainted at the sight of it. Because the truth is terrifying. Most of the rare Missouri error quarters still haven't been found. They're sitting unseen in circulation, passing from hand to hand, disguised in buckets of change. Each one a life-changing secret, waiting for the right person to look closely enough. But here's the twist that confuses beginners. Not every 2003 Missouri quarter is worth a fortune. Millions are just pocket change. That's where knowledge becomes power. The difference between 25 cents and $1 million lies in seconds of careful inspection. Look near the gateway arch, focus on the lettering. Study the smallest details under good lighting. Use a magnifier if you can. You are searching for doubling, thickening, distortion, anything that looks out of the ordinary, anything that makes you question what you're seeing. Most people ignore these differences. They spend the treasure without knowing, but you won't, because now you know the truth. You know that some of these coins are worth $1 million. You know that these rare errors slipped into circulation like sleeping giants disguised as ordinary metal. You know that hunters are searching every day and missing the one coin that could change everything. Imagine the moment you finally find one. The shock, the disbelief, the rush of adrenaline as you realize your financial future just shifted forever. A quarter you almost spent on a cup of coffee becomes the key to your freedom. Collectors are out there right now, searching with shaking hands. Dealers are offering huge rewards for even the chance to see one. Auctions are ready to erupt again the moment another rare piece surfaces, and tonight, you might be holding yours without even knowing it. So before you spend any change, before you drop a quarter into a machine, stop. Look. Check. Because the treasure hunt isn't happening in dusty attics or locked vaults, it's happening in your home, right now. Somewhere in America, a $1.9 million Missouri quarter is sitting in a jar, waiting for its discovery day. Waiting for someone bold enough to believe that wealth can hide in the plainest places. Search through every 2003 Missouri quarter you can find. Examine them with curiosity, hope, and excitement. Because the one detail others ignore could open the door to the life you deserve.